My beloved child, before this day quietly fades into the silence of night, pause for just a little while, because there is something that has been trying to reach your heart for longer than you realize. Not through noise. Not through coincidence. But through the gentle moments you almost overlook. If your eyes found these words tonight, perhaps it is because your heart was ready before your mind even knew it. Don't skip. Not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because something deeply meaningful is waiting to settle inside you. Some messages are not loud enough to interrupt your day, yet they become unforgettable once the world grows quiet. This is one of them. And somewhere beyond what you can currently explain, someone has been carrying thoughts of you that never truly disappeared. They have changed shape, softened with time, matured through reflection, but they never completely left. Imagine a letter written over many sleepless nights, never mailed, never spoken aloud, yet somehow finding its way to you when you need it most. That is the feeling surrounding this moment. It is not rushed. It does not demand anything from you. It simply asks you to remain present for a little longer. There are moments when two lives seem to move in different directions, yet unseen threads continue pulling them gently toward understanding. Your soulmate has begun to notice those threads in ways they never expected. Small reminders appear during ordinary days. A familiar song. A passing conversation. A place that suddenly feels different because it quietly reminds them of the future they once imagined. None of these moments shout your name, yet together they create a picture impossible to ignore. The strange part is not that they remember you. The strange part is how peaceful those memories have become. Instead of regret, they now carry gratitude. Instead of confusion, they carry clarity. They have slowly discovered that some connections are not measured by constant conversation but by the quiet influence they leave behind. Stay till the end, because the most important realization has not appeared yet, and it changes the meaning of everything that came before. Tonight, while the world becomes quieter outside, another kind of silence is taking place within someone else's heart. It is the silence that follows long reflection. The silence after pride finally steps aside. The silence where excuses slowly disappear, leaving only honesty. Your soulmate has reached a place where pretending no longer feels comfortable. They have replayed conversations they once dismissed too quickly. They have remembered moments they thought were ordinary, only to realize those were the very memories they now treasure the most. Funny how life often reveals value only after enough time has passed. The smallest kindness. The patient words. The way you understood things without needing endless explanations. These details have quietly returned, one by one, like gentle lights appearing across a dark horizon. And with every memory comes another realization they were never expecting to have. If they could place a single sentence before you tonight, it would not begin with perfect words. It would begin with honesty. They would say, "Please read this before you fall asleep, because I finally understand something I couldn't understand before." Not because they believe time can be reversed. Not because they expect instant answers. But because they now recognize how rare genuine peace feels when another soul truly sees you. They have met many conversations that sounded impressive yet felt empty. They have walked through busy days that somehow felt lonely. They have smiled during moments that still left quiet spaces inside. Then they remembered you, not as an impossible dream, but as someone whose presence always carried a calm they didn't fully appreciate while it was there. Something important is waiting for you, and it isn't hidden inside a dramatic secret. It is hidden inside a simple realization that often arrives later than anyone expects. Real connections are rarely built on perfect timing. They grow because two people continue carrying respect, kindness, and hope even while life moves through unexpected seasons. That understanding has become impossible for your soulmate to ignore. Every day has quietly added another piece to a picture that finally makes sense. They no longer wonder whether certain moments mattered. They know they did. They no longer question whether your influence was real. They feel it every time they become a little more patient, a little more understanding, a little more willing to listen before speaking. And yet, there is one thought they have not been able to silence. It returns during peaceful evenings like this one, arriving gently instead of urgently. It whispers, "What if another opportunity quietly passes by while I hesitate again?" That single question has become the reason their heart feels different tonight. They are not chasing perfection anymore. They are hoping not to overlook something precious simply because it appeared in an ordinary moment. Perhaps that is why these words feel so personal. Sometimes the greatest turning points never announce themselves. They arrive disguised as quiet evenings, simple reflections, and one message read just before sleep. As the night grows deeper, another realization is beginning to unfold. One that neither of you expected, and when it finally comes into focus, everything you've heard so far will suddenly carry an entirely different meaning. There is something quietly remarkable about the hours just before sleep. The world stops asking so much of you, distractions lose their grip, and the heart finally has room to speak without interruption. That is where this story continues, not with urgency, but with a truth that has been waiting patiently. If your soulmate could sit beside you in this peaceful moment, they would not begin by explaining themselves. They would simply remain silent for a moment, because some emotions become stronger when they are felt before they are spoken. Stay a little longer, because the next few moments reveal what has been growing beneath the surface all this time. They would look back at the path that brought them here and quietly admit something they never expected to understand. There was a season when they believed moving forward meant leaving certain feelings behind. They convinced themselves that distance would erase questions, that busy days would replace quiet memories, and that enough time would make everything feel ordinary again. Yet life had another lesson prepared. Instead of forgetting, they began recognizing your presence in unexpected ways, not through dramatic signs, but through ordinary moments that suddenly carried extraordinary meaning. A familiar laugh from someone across a room. A sunset that reminded them how peaceful your conversations felt. A kind gesture from a stranger that echoed something you once did without asking for recognition. At first they ignored these moments. They smiled, shook their head, and continued with life. But the memories kept returning, never demanding attention, only waiting for it. Eventually they stopped asking, "Why do I still remember?" and started asking a far more important question. What was I supposed to learn from this? That single question changed everything. Because the answer was never about the past. It was about becoming the kind of person who could truly appreciate what they once held too lightly. If they were writing this message tonight, they would pause before the next sentence. Not because the words are difficult, but because they matter too much to rush. They would say, "I don't miss you because I feel alone. I miss the peace I discovered whenever I was truly myself around you." There is a difference between missing someone's presence and missing the version of yourself that only appeared when they were near. That realization has stayed with them longer than they expected. It has followed them through ordinary mornings, quiet evenings, and conversations that somehow never reached the depth they once shared with you. Don't skip, because this is where the message becomes deeply personal. Somewhere inside your own journey, you have probably wondered whether genuine connections can survive silence. Whether hearts can continue growing while separated by time, distance, or unfinished conversations. The answer is rarely found in dramatic moments. It is found in quiet change. While you were becoming stronger in ways you may not have noticed, your soulmate was also changing. They became slower to judge, quicker to listen, more willing to appreciate the little things that once seemed invisible. Without realizing it, both of your journeys were teaching the same lesson from different directions. There is another sentence they have carried within them for longer than they have admitted. It returns each night just before they fall asleep, gentle but impossible to ignore. I can't lose you twice. Not because they believe love disappears forever after one mistake, but because they now understand how rare it is to meet someone whose presence encourages your heart to become calmer instead of louder. They are no longer thinking about perfect timing or flawless circumstances. They are thinking about protecting something that feels quietly meaningful before another opportunity drifts away unnoticed. That thought has changed the way they see tomorrow. Instead of wondering what might go wrong, they have started wondering what beautiful possibility could still be waiting if they choose courage over hesitation. They no longer feel the need to force answers. They simply hope that when the next meaningful moment arrives, they will recognize it instead of letting it quietly pass by. And somewhere within that hope, your name continues to hold a place they cannot honestly deny. The night is becoming quieter now, but something inside this story is only beginning to awaken. A memory your soulmate has kept hidden, even from themselves, is about to rise to the surface. They believed it was just another ordinary moment from the past, yet they are about to discover it was the exact moment everything inside them quietly began to change, and once that memory returns in full, neither of you will see this journey in quite the same way again. It wasn't a grand occasion that stayed with them. It wasn't a perfect conversation, an unforgettable celebration, or a moment the world would have noticed. Strangely enough, the memory that refused to fade was almost invisible. It was one of those ordinary moments people usually forget without a second thought. Yet tonight, as they sit with their own thoughts, that simple memory has become brighter than anything else. Stay with this for a little longer. Because sometimes the smallest moments carry the deepest truths. They remember how effortless it felt to simply exist around you. There was no performance. No need to become someone else. No pressure to impress. In a world where so many people wear different versions of themselves depending on who is watching, you somehow made honesty feel safe. They didn't fully understand that gift when it was happening. Only later did they realize how uncommon it truly was. For a long time, they believed love was supposed to be loud. They thought it would always arrive with dramatic words, overwhelming emotions, or unforgettable scenes that belonged in stories. But life quietly corrected that belief. They discovered that the strongest feelings often arrive softly. They are found in peaceful conversations that linger in your mind long after they end. They are found in the comfort of silence that never feels awkward. They are found in the rare person whose presence makes the future feel less frightening and the present feel more complete. That realization didn't happen overnight. It arrived slowly, almost unnoticed. One day became another, and little by little they began comparing every new experience with something they had once taken for granted. It wasn't about finding someone exactly like you. It was about realizing that what they valued most had already crossed their path once before. If they could speak without fear of misunderstanding, they would quietly admit something they have never said aloud. I kept searching for a feeling, until I realized I wasn't searching for a feeling at all. I was searching for the peace I only discovered when my heart stopped pretending. That sentence has echoed through countless quiet nights. It has become impossible for them to ignore. Something important is waiting for you, and it isn't hidden in the future. It is hidden inside what both of you have already become. While your soulmate has been learning the value of patience, you have also been growing in ways you may not even recognize. The version of you standing here today is not the same person who once questioned every silence or worried about every unanswered moment. Life has quietly strengthened your heart. It has taught you that real connections cannot be measured by constant noise. Sometimes they reveal their depth through quiet endurance. Your soulmate has begun to notice this change as well. Whether through small conversations, distant impressions, or simply the feeling they carry whenever they think of you, they sense that you are no longer waiting in the same way. You have continued living, learning, healing, and becoming more grounded. Oddly enough, that has made their respect for you grow even deeper. They no longer see someone hoping to be chosen. They see someone who has learned to value themselves without needing constant reassurance. Don't skip, because this next realization has stayed hidden until now. The words, "I can't lose you twice," were never really about fear. They were about appreciation. The first time, they didn't fully recognize what they had. The second time, they refused to overlook the quiet beauty of a connection that never tried to demand attention. They finally understand that some people don't enter your life to create excitement alone. They enter to create peace. And peace, once recognized, becomes one of the most precious gifts a heart can protect. As midnight draws closer, another thought begins to settle within them. It is not a plan, nor a promise, but something far more genuine. They no longer want to leave important words unspoken simply because the timing doesn't feel perfect. They have learned that waiting forever often means missing the very moment that matters most. And just when they believe they have finally understood everything, one unexpected memory returns, a single unfinished sentence that was never completed, never answered, and never forgotten. Somehow, that unfinished sentence holds the key to everything that follows, and before this night reaches its quiet end, its true meaning is finally going to be revealed. Some memories never ask for attention. They simply wait until the heart becomes quiet enough to understand them. Tonight, that unfinished sentence has returned with remarkable clarity. Your soulmate can remember exactly where they were, exactly how the moment felt, yet the words themselves were left hanging between hope and hesitation. At the time, it seemed insignificant. Life moved on, conversations changed, and the day came to an ordinary close. But years of reflection have a way of uncovering what hurried moments often hide. What was once an incomplete thought has now become the clearest message they have ever carried within themselves. Stay until the final moments of this journey, because this quiet discovery is about to reshape everything that came before. The sentence was never really about finding the perfect response. It was about finding the courage to be completely honest. Back then, honesty felt risky. It meant admitting that someone had begun to matter more than expected. It meant allowing another person to see the hopes carefully hidden beneath everyday smiles. Instead of speaking from the heart, they chose silence. They believed silence would protect them from disappointment. What they didn't realize was that silence also protected them from the very happiness they were hoping to preserve. As time continued its gentle march forward, they began noticing something unusual. The conversations they remembered most clearly were never the longest ones. The moments they treasured most were not dramatic declarations or unforgettable events. They were the simple exchanges that made life feel lighter. The quiet laughter after an ordinary joke. The unexpected encouragement on a difficult day. The feeling that someone truly listened instead of merely waiting for their turn to speak. Those moments slowly formed a picture they could no longer ignore. Without realizing it, they had already discovered what their heart had been searching for all along. If they could place one final page inside this message before you close your eyes tonight, they would write something beautifully simple. I thought I was protecting myself by holding back. Instead, I was creating distance from the one place my heart felt understood. There is no blame hidden inside those words. Only wisdom earned through time. Some lessons arrive quietly, asking only that we become willing to see them. Perhaps that is why this message found you tonight instead of yesterday or tomorrow. Certain truths only make sense after both hearts have traveled far enough to receive them. Growth has changed both of you in different ways. It has softened old expectations, strengthened quiet confidence, and replaced hurried assumptions with deeper understanding. Neither of you is standing where you once were. And because of that, the meaning of this connection has changed as well. Don't skip. Because one realization remains hidden beneath everything you have heard. Your soulmate has stopped asking whether destiny creates meaningful connections. Instead, they have begun asking a gentler question. When life gives us another chance to choose with greater wisdom, will I recognize it? That question has become their quiet companion. It appears during peaceful evenings, ordinary mornings, and those rare moments when the future suddenly feels full of possibilities instead of uncertainty. There is something deeply comforting about knowing that hearts are capable of learning without becoming hardened. Your soulmate has learned that patience is not waiting without hope. It is choosing to keep kindness alive even when every answer has not yet arrived. They have discovered that genuine affection does not disappear simply because life becomes complicated. Sometimes it grows stronger in silence, developing roots too deep to be shaken by passing seasons. Tonight, before sleep gently carries this day away, one final thought rests gently within their heart. If another opportunity ever appears, whether through a conversation, an unexpected meeting, or a simple moment that feels strangely familiar, they no longer want fear to write the ending. They want gratitude to guide every word. They want honesty to replace hesitation. And above all, they never want another meaningful connection to remain unfinished simply because they waited for the perfect moment instead of embracing the real one. The night has become wonderfully still now, yet the story is far from over. Because just beyond this quiet reflection, an unexpected turn is already beginning to unfold. Someone is preparing to notice something they overlooked before, and that single realization will open a door neither of you imagined was still waiting. Morning always arrives quietly, but sometimes the heart awakens before the sun does. That is where this journey gently comes to its close. Not with a dramatic ending, but with a peaceful beginning. Throughout this message, your soulmate has been searching for the right words, believing they needed something extraordinary to explain what had changed. Yet in the stillness of this final moment, they finally understand that the truest words are often the simplest. If they could leave one message beside you before you closed your eyes tonight, it would be this. Please don't carry the weight of wondering whether you were enough. You were never the question. The question was whether I had grown enough to recognize the gift of having someone like you in my life. I understand that now. Those words are not spoken with regret alone. They are spoken with gratitude. Gratitude for every lesson, every quiet memory, every ordinary conversation that became extraordinary only after time revealed its true value. They no longer wish they could erase the past. Instead, they are thankful it taught them how precious genuine connection really is. There is one final realization resting gently inside their heart. When they said, "I can't lose you twice," they were never talking about holding onto someone out of fear. They were talking about never again overlooking kindness, honesty, patience, and the rare comfort of feeling completely understood. They now know that real love is not built through perfect moments. It is built through sincere hearts that continue choosing respect, grace, and understanding, even after life has changed them. Perhaps that is why these words reached you before sleep instead of after sunrise. Night has a beautiful way of removing distractions. It leaves only what truly matters. And what matters most is not whether every answer arrives today. What matters is knowing that meaningful connections leave lasting goodness within us. They help us become wiser, gentler, and more thankful than we were before. As you move into tomorrow, carry this quiet thought with you. Some chapters are not remembered because they ended perfectly. They are remembered because they changed the people who lived them. Whether your paths grow closer again or continue teaching each of you in different ways, the kindness you shared was never wasted. Every sincere moment became part of the person you are becoming. So tonight, let your heart rest instead of searching for every missing piece. Let peace replace unnecessary questions. Let hope remain gentle rather than hurried. The future does not need to be forced to be meaningful. Sometimes the most beautiful things arrive naturally when both hearts have learned to recognize them. And somewhere, under the same quiet sky, your soulmate finishes this message with one last whisper they hope your heart will always remember. Sleep peacefully. Thank you for being part of my journey. If tomorrow gives us another chance to bring light into each other's lives, I will meet that moment with honesty, gratitude, and an open heart. Until then, may your dreams be filled with peace. Because some connections are never measured by distance, but by the quiet goodness they leave behind. The night grows still, the message gently fades, and what remains is not uncertainty, but a calm reminder that the most meaningful stories are often the ones that continue, one peaceful day at a time.